Have you ever noticed that the men who make it really big on social media platforms like TikTok, who have like heaps of female fans and they're really famous, they're not very masculine? Like they're beautiful men, I'm not denying that, but in terms of like raw masculinity, like living that archetype of like the pure embodiment of testosterone that so many like manosphere gurus tell us that women want, these guys are often the opposite. Where's the beard? Where's like the deep voice? Where's the massive muscles? Isn't that what we're being told that women are attracted to? But often these guys are skinny. They have, higher pitched voices. They're very well groomed and clean cut. They're almost androgynous looking. And before social media became big, you'd see that phenomenon play out with boy bands, men with really high-pitched voices, really well-groomed and all that. This is not exactly like your rock and roll macho kind of stereotype, but yet they have millions of screaming female fans. So many girls are attracted to those kinds of men. So what's going on? Isn't this contradictory? Are women attracted to masculinity or not? If you've come to the Alexander Grace channel, then I know that you're not expecting some basic, simplistic answer. It's complex, as these things often are, and that's what I want to explain in this video. I want you to think about who the target audience is for social media sites like TikTok. Like, what demographic are they trying to attract onto that platform? And who is the target audience of like boy bands, like K-pop? The answer is very young women, teenage girls, essentially. That demographic of women loves the softer, masculine image. And the reason is because they're still very young. They're sort of undeveloped in their sense of self and in their femininity. And so if they were confronted with an image of a really macho, masculine guy, they would find that intimidating. That amount of masculinity terrifies them. It's too much. They're scared that it would completely overwhelm them. They're not wrong about that. Consider the typical healthy relationship dynamic with like a masculine man and a feminine woman. Often we say that the man sort of takes the leadership role and the woman plays a more supportive role, but it's always in a collaborative context. It's not hierarchical. She wants her opinions to be listened to and taken into account. She wants a partnership. It's just, with the flavor of masculinity and femininity. But in order for a woman or girl to be able to relax into that feminine masculine dynamic, she needs to be able to trust him. Being a woman in a relationship can be a very vulnerable thing. And so when you imagine some 15-year-old girl who barely understands who she is, what her identity is, what is her femininity, how much power in that, how much can she really express that, it's a complete mismatch to put that girl who's still so unsure of herself with some really confident, macho, masculine dude. He seems so strong, so intimidating, and she's thinking to herself, I don't think that my opinion is going to count for much in this relationship. He's just too confident, too manly. It's too much. I can't do it. That's not a problem. That's actually age appropriate. She accurately recognizes that a relationship with that kind of man is not likely to be a respectful collaboration. He's too masculine. He would just overpower her and she would get swallowed up and then she'd cease to exist. I'm speaking in sort of dramatic terms because I want you to understand that at an instinctual level, this is how the female psychological protection mechanisms that are operating actually sound to her. But just because she's not ready yet for that fully developed masculinity in like a grown man, that doesn't mean that she doesn't want any masculinity. She just wants it packaged in a softer, more gentle form that's not so frightening to her. She wants her men to be talented and gorgeous to look at, but also to have a sort of vibe as though they've just come out of puberty, which she's just come out of puberty. And so there's not going to be a huge power mismatch. That's what's safe to her, and that's what she's attracted to. When she sees these TikTok stars or like these boy band members like singing their songs and dancing on stage, it's safe for her to sexually and romantically objectify those men. But if you put that same soft, quiet, undeveloped girl who's still unsure of herself and her own femininity next to some finished product, ultra masculine man, it would look so weird. It's just not appropriate. The gap is too big. And also remember that she hasn't had that much exposure to men like that. She's been going to school surrounded by boys who are still developing in their masculinity. They can't grow beards yet. They're still in the process of becoming men. And so her sweet little like high school crushes and those developing feelings, all of that's being played out on age-appropriate boys, and that's what she finds attractive. All of that's normal, but it wears off. That pretty boy look that a lot of girls are attracted to in their teen years does not last. You know this instinctively. Imagine some well-traveled, experienced, intelligent 30-year-old woman who's, been around the world, she's met some of her goals, she's got a successful career, and she's looking to settle down with a man who can satisfy her masculinity. And so take that 30-year-old woman and put her next to some 19-year-old boy from TikTok with his sort of soft masculinity. Do you think that's going to satisfy her hypergamy? Do you think his masculinity is capable of creating the kind of sexual polarization that she finds attractive? He can't even grow a beard yet. He's very gentle, he's got a soft voice, he's got sort of feminine features, and she thinks, okay, no, you're very pretty to look at, but I'm craving a man. You see, she doesn't find him attractive because hypergamy just doesn't work that way. Women only date up. She looks at that TikTok dancing boy and she doesn't respect his masculinity. He's too soft, he's too undeveloped. She feels like she, with all her life experience, could probably crush him, but that's not what women want. They want to be crushed by men in the nicest possible way. As women get older, they go through a very natural transition where they stop finding the pretty boy look so attractive because they're developing in themselves. They're becoming more confident, more individuated, more understanding of their own femininity. And so when they encounter its counterpart, masculinity, in a man, it's no longer frightening or undeveloped because they know that their femininity is a match for that masculinity and they're specifically looking for that. It's not an infinite process. I'm not saying that the more developed a woman is, the more masculine she's going to want her man. Now, obviously, there are limits. Some women will want like a bikey dude, like someone that kind of macho. Other women will want a more soft, gentle man, and that's fine. There's no judgments about their quality there. It has to do with that person's individual character, like their makeup. But you understand the point that I'm making in terms of the general trend here is that you're just not that likely to find many older women drooling over like the pretty boy look of the guys on TikTok. They're just not masculine enough to actually generate raw sexual excitement from a developed woman. Women's tastes develop and change. It's a natural process, and the same thing actually happens to boys as well. It just happens in reverse because as they get older, a lot of men tend to prefer more traditionally feminine women. But that's not what it was like when they were a schoolboy. Like, do you remember your early teenage years and how exciting the really confident girls were, the ones who seemed more grown up? It was the 13-year-old girls who acted like a 15-year-old girl that really caught your attention, whereas the more like shy, reserved girls who didn't really put themselves out there, just sort of stayed quiet, you'd probably be more likely to just sort of dismiss them. Oh, that's boring. Like, I've seen girls like that all my life, but now as I'm coming into my puberty, I'm interested in women. For most men, as they get older, that kind of confidence and forwardness from women, acting really out there, that starts to become less and less attractive, and they more appreciate the softer, more gentle form of femininity. And do you know the reason for that? It's because those men are more developed in their masculinity. When they're young, they're sort of looking for any kind of woman who's just going to be exciting and take them on a ride. And so you've got this confident girl in your school class and you're like, whoa, like being with her would be a fantastically interesting ride. She can show me so many things. But as you get older and you're developed as a man, you don't look to women to fulfill that role for you. You've taken charge of your own life. That's what masculinity does. And so you're not looking in your dating life for some kind of surrogate mother. You're looking for somebody who's going to complement you, who's going to understand and respect your masculinity. You're looking for a feminine woman. So often the kind of girls that you would have ignored as, too boring when you were first a teenager, they become the exact kind of women that you're attracted to later on in life once you have become a man. So what's the lesson here? Well, I guess for any guys out there who are like 18 and watching my channel, maybe lean into it. If you want to date girls your own age, don't be afraid to wear nice clothes, do your grooming, lean into that look a little bit. But if you're one of the older members of my audience and you're looking to date grown women, you're probably not going to find that much success leaning into the pretty boy look, Be a bit more masculine, show off your manliness. That's what a grown-up woman finds attractive. The culture we are living in is hypersexualized. Sex is being used to sell a lot of products, and the promiscuous lifestyle is sort of on trend, on brand, as like empowering for men and women. And it makes me wonder, what is the impact of this hypersexualization of our culture? Because while it might help move consumer goods, it's also corrupting our sense of morality and our societal norms. And so I wanted to do a deep dive discussion into the effect that all of this sex in the mainstream culture is having on our personal sense of values and on our lives, the choices that we're making. So I've made that video. It's available on my Patreon. That's where the really in-depth, nuanced stuff is. So if you like my videos, but you want to take it to the next level, I highly encourage you to go and check out my Patreon. It's just a $7 a month subscription. You get access to that video plus 250 other exclusive videos. The value is absolutely tremendous. If you're experiencing problems in your dating and relationship life and you want advice from me, hit me up on Hey Hero, tell me what you're going through, and I create a personalized video in response to you. And if you're ready to test yourself to the degree to which you really understand the psychology of dating, the differences between men and women, I recommend my paid course, 100 Sides of Women. It features 10 real stories, real people, where you're encouraged to psychologically diagnose what's going on. Then I give the answers. It takes 6.5 hours of video footage to get through. It's very in-depth. It only costs $50. One of the tests is available completely for free, so you can try it before you buy. There's a video down in the description box that explains how it works. People love it. Check out the reviews. I really can't recommend the course enough.